So good evening, everybody. We're back here with Insight Sports Talk. This is Joanna Rosalie, along with my co-host, PLR. How are you tonight?
What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing great. Ready to talk some sports and get back to the grind. How about you?
That's the only way to do it.
Right? So we have a lot to cover tonight with all the news that have been happening lately in the sports world. Most of all with the postseason right around the corner and some of those teams clinching their titles or that wild card berth. So how do you see that going?
Okay, so this is going to sound really cold the way I say it. No disrespect to the Twins, no disrespect to the Rays with their pitching staff because it's really good. But it's coming down to the Yankees and the Astros. And I just don't see anybody in the American League, I'll start there, beating Verlander, Cole, and Greinke back to back. I just don't see that.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We might have heard the news. I don't know if you have yet or not, but while I was driving just a moment ago before we got ready for our podcast, the Yankees clinched. So that would be interesting to see. But with the Astros and that, those weapons they have, especially with getting Greinke and how great they're going and they're playing right now, that's a tough one.
Yeah, 100 wins already, the first team to 100. And just think, they didn't even start off the season that great. I mean, you knew they were going to be in the playoffs. You knew they were going to win the division. But they're just good. I mean, they can hit for power. They can play small ball. They can drive balls. They can situational hit. They have incredible pitching. And over the last 5 years, you can't make me bet against Altuve. So that team is ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember seeing them when they were first starting, when they were building up, and A.J. Hinch was the manager. First became the manager, and they when they first started getting to the playoffs. And they had Altuve, Correa was new, and you can just see that was a team that was building and just getting better and has been each year ever since. And each year they just gotten, you just can't lose against them. They made the World Series. They're more than likely seem to be that way. And the Astros right now, they're like your dream team. Everything that you want to have in a baseball team, they have it. You just said it. The power, the pitching, every situation that they put themselves in, and any game that they play, they just have it all.
Yeah, they do. They're just a complete baseball team. And nowadays, you don't have that. Like, I think the Yankees are going to be good in the playoffs, obviously. Serafino's coming back, he's back. And, you'll be able to get something out of CC. I understand all that. But Greinke, Cole, and Verlander, I don't think I need to say anything else.
That says it all. The Yankees, they're good. They've gotten better. They didn't start off with a really great season. But they've gotten better as the season goes on and leading into the postseason. The Red Sox, a team who started strong, and now after the second half, not so great. And the Yankees just kept up in there, but it's a tough one. They can get, but it won't be an easy ride for the Yankees, regardless of what they have right now, and Severino being back, and the power that he has to contribute with the pitching, but nothing compares to what the Astros have, or even the Dodgers, for that matter.
Oh, okay. You ready for this? Before I just crown the Dodgers, I want to see them get past Atlanta. With Acuna playing just lights out baseball, 23 years old, one of the youngest guys to go for 40 dongs in a season, 21 years old, 40 dongs in a season, and I want to see him get by that. Now, the Dodgers have a complete team. They really do, and it's almost all homegrown talent, and I give major props to them. But before I just hand it to them, I got to see if their bullpen can hold up. Their bullpen is shaky with the capital K and a Y. You just don't know. You don't know. Every bullpen series is you just don't know with them. Ryu was great up until the All-Star game. He's been hittable since then. Kershaw is a Hall of Fame pitcher, but we know Kershaw in the playoffs. He hasn't been great all the time, and I'm just going to keep going back. If Jensen can give them what they need, yes. If Jensen can't in the playoffs, that's a whole different subject.
Yeah, you do have a point there, especially with not just Kershaw, but even Jensen. And he has some struggles even there in the postseason, especially late in the game when those when it matters.
You're being nice by saying you're being nice by saying in the postseason, because he has been shaky in the regular season. So that's not going to be easy.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the wild card, that's not even right now, still being fought for. The American League and in the National League. The National League is always, one of those, they're scrappy. They're trying to get in there, and it's always a battle to see who's going to get in. And right now it's going to come down to the wire. The Washington's, there, the Brewers are there, and it keeps going right now between the Cubs and the Brewers. Mets, Phillies, the Diamondbacks, they're a little bit further behind, but you can't right now really count anybody out. So
I agree with that, but honestly, I think Washington is in, unless they just completely collapse. I think they're going to get in, and I think the battle is going to come down to Milwaukee and Chicago. Now, I think Milwaukee can last you out and sneak in with what they're doing, but I think they're going to need Yelich if they really want to go deep in the playoffs. And with Yelich being out, I think that even if they get in, I just don't see them having enough firepower to get all the way through the playoffs. The team that scares me if they get in are the Cubs, because they've been there. They're every year now. I can't believe I'm saying that, but every year they're right at the playoffs. So they would scare me getting in, because they can get some hits from some timely people. I know Rizzo's out, but you have Schwarber swinging a pretty good bat now. You always have Chris Bryant. You always, they're banged up, but that's a team I would not want to see in the playoffs.
Yeah, you just hit it right there with my next question was, how much effect are injuries going to have, especially with those teams right now trying to clinch that wild card, and not even just the wild card, the postseason. How much of an injuries for those that are injured will it affect those teams in the postseason?
Well, I think all of them will be impacted, because the Dodgers and the Braves are playing great right now, and they're somewhat healthy. We'll see what Washington can do. It's funny that Washington loses their big bat, their quote-unquote best player to Philadelphia, and they're back. They're going to make the playoffs. It's almost kind of funny in Bryce Harper, but it's just a matter of seeing what's going to happen with this. And I'm really curious to know how that's going to shake out. But I think it's a little bit more profound in the American League, to be honest with you, just because Tampa Bay has really great pitching to kind of match up against the Yankees and Houston and Minnesota. And Minnesota has incredible hitting because they hit a lot. Whereas when you get to the National League, you have Atlanta, you have the Dodgers, and then you have the other three teams. So I think it's going to be a little bit different. I think the road to hoe will be a lot tougher in the American League, but the Dodgers and the Braves are the class of the National League, and everyone else is just kind of playing. And that's my opinion. Like I said, it sounds like I'm disrespecting these other teams, but just the talent level, you can see the difference.
Yeah, and then with you mentioning Minnesota, I think that's, at least for me, I didn't see Minnesota coming in and kind of sneaking in there and making it to the postseason, to be honest. And I think that's an underdog to watch because they have 93 wins right now. So, and they're playing good. I'm interested to see how that'll play out.
Yeah, I agree.
And speaking of postseason, wild card is not something that it seems that the Diamondbacks are gonna make it through this season. So
they're done.
They have a glimmer of hope, but I see it hard for them to come back.
They were done when they got swept by the Mets. That was it. In all honesty, that was a wrap there.
What does this mean? What do you think this means for the team going into next season and going into the off season even?
One, they got to find a way to stay healthy. They got to figure out what they're going to do with Jake Lamb because he just can't stay healthy. He reminds me a lot of Pollock. Great player, just can't really stay healthy. So they got to figure out what they're going to do there. They're going to have to figure out if they're going to keep Robbie Ray or not. The Diamondbacks are in an interesting position because they're too good to totally rebuild, but they're not quite good enough to totally challenge without getting some more pieces. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do. I just think they're a big question mark right now.
Yeah, I think that the one thing that really hurt them, and it's the one, that took us everybody but surprise, is when sending Greinke to the Astros.
Yeah,
I think that was a major impact. And I think if that wouldn't have happened, that would have secured more of a position for them in the postseason.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think you give up frontline pitchers. Just me. See, I just talked about this earlier today. I think prospects are great. I think in other sports, first-round picks are great. But when you're trading a known commodity for an unknown commodity, I just don't always get down with that.
That gets you into trouble. At least from what I've seen with the Diamondbacks.
Look, when you start naming frontline pitchers, lights out pitchers in Major League Baseball, I don't care that every team has a number one. There's really only about 5 to 10 number ones in Major League, and you had one of them, and you let him go. So I don't know. I'm not down with that.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree. And Greinke's just been great. He's been doing his thing and over there with the Astros. And one thing for the Diamondbacks, I think that's the major component for them going into the off season and into next season, solidifying that pitching, that rotation, especially those starters. Just all of it, because that's a major component of what has caused them to lose the game or not be able to, not being able to stay in the game.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think you give up frontline guys. I just don't. Personal opinion. But, that's just me. That's just me. Obviously, Hazen makes a lot more money than me, but I just don't like
who are we to say, what they should or shouldn't do, right?
Yeah, exactly, huh?
We don't get paid $8.
Hazen gets a lot of money, and he just got more money.
Yeah, exactly. So, but hey, we'll see. We'll just have to wait and see, what happens from here on out after the regular season. And staying with pitching and with postseason, does pitch really matter? How important is pitching in the postseason? Does it come hand in hand, with the delivery that, offense, or making those runs? Which is more important? What gets you those wins?
Pitching is everything. I'll equate it like this. In baseball, in the postseason, pitching is everything. In football,